Yeah. If I need anything, I'll send it into the staff room.
All right, it's
Yeah,
open.
I've got it open as well.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna mute myself and then I'll point, and then you go.
I haven't finished my Rubik's Cube yet. Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast. Yeah, that's the one of LRM Online and the Genreverse Podcast Network. I'm getting a north-south from Danny. I did it right. Yes.
Yes, you
I'm
did.
here trying to do this. I was trying to do this Rubik's Cube before we finished the opening. I almost made it. It's mostly done. This is like a 90% solution. I don't know if you know that. We're here today to talk about Transformers, which Rubik's Cube, I mean, it doesn't actually transform. It's more than meets the eye, and it moves. And you know what? We're going to stop with that. So we're going to talk about that, and we also have some news about Batman. Let's go. Let's have a conversation about Transformers Rise of the Beast. Currently, this film sits at a 55% with the critics and an 88% with the audience, which I think is kind of fascinating because if you go back to the film that immediately precedes it, 2018's Bumblebee, that was a 91 with the critics, with a 74 from the audience. So it seems like Rise of the Beast might be a bit of a crowd pleaser by comparison, but we'll find out. I'm curious. Danny, would you like to give your Mastodon? We've decided we're going to move away from Twitter. We're going to do
we're going away from Twitter. Are we going Mastodon?
Yeah, we're going to do toots. We're going to do because Mastodons, they have trunks and they toot, I guess.
Do they? Mastodon? Are you getting...
Sounds like a fart joke to me.
I was going to get there. That's why I did this. Maybe. Danny, let's hear you toot.
But we'll keep that one silent and deadly.
I really need to get like a soundboard where I can throw in some like fart sounds and stuff like that.
Let's hear you toot. Only if I watch you juggle. Or do a Rubik's Cube. Back to focus, stay on point. I enjoyed this film a lot more than I was expecting to. I really did. It's got some cheesy as hell writing. It's got some typical Transformer. I don't understand how that got to their story plot lines, but it's got enough of a heart in it and enough decently shot action for me to actually really enjoy this film. It's not quite on the level of Bumblebee, but it's definitely a fun time at the cinema. I'm super glad it's not a Michael Bay Transformers film. I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to. I'm pleased about that. Happy about that.
Okay. Yeah, much like what you're saying, one of the notes that I had was, I guess Michael Bay was the problem all along. I really enjoyed this film. One of the things I like the most about it is getting to introduce the Maximals. As somebody who grew up watching Beast Wars, this is a lot of fun for me, especially having Optimus Primal be voiced by Ron Perlman, who is, Pacific Rim, one of my favorite actors. I love Ron Perlman. So I really enjoyed this film. Stephen Caple Jr., he brought it, and it is apparent that, this soft reboot of Transformers with 2018's Bumblebee was not a fluke. Yeah. But that said, you want to jump into spoilers?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's get into it. It's not an unflawed movie, and it has some stuff in it that I'd love to talk about. But I'm happy to talk about this film. Let's go for it. Where do you want to start?
Oh, and I'm sorry. Before we jump into spoilers proper, sorry, Kyle. Let's get your letter grade.
Oh, now I'm going to give it a solid C.
Okay.
Yeah, I was toying with a C+, but I think a C is where I genuinely sit with this film. Okay. But a happy C. I'm a happy C.
A happy C. All right. Yes. So a high C? No, a middle
C. High C.
High C. For me, I'm going to go with a solid B. I struggled with what do I expect from a franchise based on a toy line. For me, this was a crowd pleaser. If you are somebody that was a fan of 2018's Bumblebee, you will be sustained, right? Like this was for me, it was at least as good as that, if not slightly better. While John Cena's acting has improved generally, not good in that film. And so him being such a big part of that kind of hurt. So yeah, solid B. All right.
I think
Spoilers.
that probably by the end of this conversation, Jonesy, you will convince me to go to a C+. I'm pretty sure. But right now I'm hovering around that C. You couldn't convince me for Little Mermaid.
Don't you tease me.
Yeah, but on this one, you could convince me to go a C+. Yeah,
challenge accepted. So, you said there was a lot of stuff that you want to talk about. Let me talk about the things that stopped this film from being an A for me. And part of it wasn't really this film's fault. It was the other movie's fault. We got another Transformers MacGuffin in this film, right? And so in this film, we're talking about the transwarp key. In the first film, it was the cube, right? And there's always just something that they're going after to try to give some motivation for these characters. And for me, I was just kind of tired of it. And from that perspective, it was very paint by numbers. It felt like a National Treasure / Indiana Jones wannabe with giant robots in it. But what saved it, at least for me, was I got to give credit where credit's due. I was shocked that they were able to find a character for Pete Davidson to play that I was just like really into. So he played Mirage. I generally am not a fan of his, but what I really am not a fan of is like the mute-ish Bumblebee. That didn't really do it for me. So having him paired with Anthony Ramos in this, like I enjoyed Pete Davidson a lot in this film. I didn't
even recognize it was him. I knew the actor and I knew he was in it and I knew that was him. But what was so good about it, and I totally agree, is that I love that character. He made it for me, and it really wasn't, should we say, a traditional Pete Davidson shtick or character. I really enjoyed it. He made that movie for me. This movie, it's what elevated it, and that dynamic between the two, considering he is a giant robot and is human, that was great. So some of the physical interaction was a bit loosey-goosey with the special effects, but their actual sparring with each other. And this is one of the things that kind of not frustrates me, but with the movie, because there were certain aspects to the script that I thought were great. I thought the actual dialogue between the actors was really, really good. It was actually just the story, like you said, about the MacGuffin again, and then go to here and do this and go to here and do that. And then someone would come along and just exposition for 30 seconds and just explain stuff. And that was really loose. And then you'd have some sort of cheesy one-liner and you think, oh, there's the typical Transformers movie stuff. But then you would have the interaction between either the human characters or the humans and the robots. Optimus Prime's little growth throughout the movie was good. I don't recall seeing that.
He had an arc.
There was an actual character development. And that was what was kind of great about this film, is that you can't help but think of the other movies. But if you get rid of them and just think, okay, this is the sequel, should we say, to Bumblebee, it's what elevated the film for me. I really enjoyed that bit. The screenplay, character work was great. Just the story, like you said, was a little bit Transformers-esque, Michael Bay-esque.
Yeah, and the other thing, I can't tell if this is a Michael Bay thing or a technology thing. The other thing that I really liked about this is we got to pull back from the Transformers and see the action. One of my biggest problems with the Transformers films generally is that we're like right up their asses, and it's hard and like quick cuts and so close to them. It's hard to see what the fighting is happening, what the action 100%. Is going on.
That's Michael Bay, though. That's his stuff, and I don't like it. I don't. That's why I love the action in this.
Yeah, pulling back, and not only was it good, it was dramatic, right? Yeah. There are scenes when Scourge like stabs somebody, and like you feel it when you shoot somebody, like you feel something for that character. And so good on them for taking these CGI characters and giving us something dramatic to do with them. So that part was really fun.
Yeah, and I agree. And I don't know if you noticed this too, but obviously the special effects are pretty good. But did you notice that the actual transformation stuff, they've taken some of the detail out, whereas a couple of later Michael Bay films, you seem to notice every screw and nut transforming. In this one, it was a little bit more simple transformation. I think that made them. I actually made them look better as Transformers. It made them feel more like the toys that we used to play with. They were very simple transformations. The doors folded here and they all slotted into here. That was great. And that helped with the action because it meant that there wasn't the need for that snap editing and close-ups and stuff. It felt that you could put everything in camera, show what was actually going on, the geography of the fight scenes and stuff, and it was actually really good. I'd like to know if they actually thought, if they had a fight choreographer look at that a little bit. That would be interesting to me. If they had a real, should we say, a human fight choreographer, someone that might work on, for example, a John Wick film or something, and actually say, look, people are going to enjoy action more if they can actually see what the hell is going on and who's where and where they are in the fight. I loved it. I love that stuff. And that, for me, overrode the dodgy story bit, like the MacGuffin, like you said. Yeah, for sure. It was plus.
And I agree with you. Like, the phrase that came to mind as you were talking was like action figure. Like, I thought that they did a really good job of going back to the roots of like, this is a franchise based on action figures. We don't need to see that minutia of like how all of that stuff works, which I really liked. If I had to point to another complaint, and this is just me, right? I don't know what your relation is to Transformers or Beast Wars, but for me, getting to see like Optimus Primal and Cheetor and Rhinox on screen, like, for me, I was like, it was so great. But it was disappointing, at least for Rhinox and Cheetor, to like not hear a lot from them. I really loved their dynamic in the cartoon and in the series. So to have them kind of as background characters in this, like, I get it. It's hard to do all of that. But I really kind of missed that.
I was much more, sorry, Jonesy, I was very much Transformers when I was a kid. But the what did you say, their Beast Wars and stuff, I don't remember owning, if any, of the Beast Transformers, for want of a better word. It was all the planes.
G1, baby, G1.
Yeah. But saying that, I totally agree. But they did quite a good job, though, of showing that they had a really nice team dynamic with that group, though. I didn't need to see them all being together to know that they clearly had been together a long time, were friends for a long time, and enjoyed many, missions and adventures for a long time. So I thought that was great. I did enjoy them, but I understand if you were more of a fan of those characters, that, they did seem a little underserved.
Yeah, underserved,
Can I ask a kind of a related question? Did either of you guys watch the War for Cybertron trilogy on Netflix? How did you like the beasts in the primals in that? Because I really enjoyed like that. That was Transformers for grown-ups. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of curious what you thought.
So that trilogy was. So we actually did a really fun interview with one of the actresses, Lindsay Rousseau. She actually joined us on the podcast. So I cannot remember her character's name, but she was the female lead in that series, and she joined Jammer and I,
the one that was like
episode and hung out with
back
us
on Cybertron. Yeah.
The show itself was slow to start, but it actually, for me, picked up when they got to that part. And I really liked that. And the Optimus Prime Megatron story was less interesting to me than the Beast Wars characters in that. So to your point, I thought that they were really well done in that series.
You should check them out, Danny.
What I didn't like about this one was not dislike, the one of the characters I was missing was Rat Trap. I really like Rat Trap as a character. So he is like, think of Rocket Raccoon. He is basically the Rocket Raccoon of the Beast Wars series. So, and the James Gunn iteration of Guardians Rocket Raccoon. Like, if you ever watch the Beast Wars, you'd be like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, he even has that same kind of fall New York accent. And so it's a lot of fun. But those are minor complaints.
Well, there's certainly, in this universe or this world they've created, there's certainly scope to bring in these other characters, because we had multiple Transformers just appearing out of nowhere anyway, right? When you thought that there was only a few, all conveniently as usual in New York somewhere. But then we had the old guy flying the plane, or the old guy that is the plane, and then we had the VW Spanish Beetle. That was a fun little scene. That was actually really quite fun. Like, how can I be racist? You're a robot. I don't. And it was really clever. That was the script and the writing that I.
He said, "Where are you from?"
Yeah,
from Cybertron.
But you got a Spanish. I don't. And you could see.
I
and
laughed
I love that
so hard at that.
Yeah, me too. I was laughing because of all the all the connotations that brings. I thought that's a clever bit of soft, gentle writing that the kids will enjoy, but the adults are smugly sitting there going, yeah, that's quite clever. I like that. So anyway, these characters were popping up out of nowhere. I mean, who knows how many Transformers are actually on Earth right now, right? Who knows? There could be countless others. There were certain nods and winks that I liked. Even when Mirage said, "Oh, they can fly now," where we're used to with the old Transformer films having Starscream and stuff, all of them flying. But now they were just genuinely surprised to see one that can actually fly.
Yeah,
it was great.
Well, and to Mirage's point, like I love that scene where the old guy that was the airplane, when he crash landed, and he's like, "I'll walk to Peru."
Yeah, it's brilliant. It was really fun, and his timing on that was great. So, in Pete Davidson's credit and the animators' credit, they've managed to get things together and to give the robots enough of a personality and enough animation in their faces and body language to really pull those jokes off. It was good. I loved even the way that when Optimus Prime first turned up and just transformed into a robot and the way he was marching towards people, he had some arrogant, cocky ass swagger in the way he was walking. Deservedly so. He's a Prime. But I love the fact they put that movement into him as they say, yeah, I'm the daddy around here. I'm the big guy around here.
But going back to the other point about him having an arc, what I loved is that Optimus Primal was actually disappointed in him, right? Yes, he's like, this guy is a legend. And he's like, fuck this guy. Like, and so I love that Optimus Primal got to be the wise one and say like, no, these humans, like we protect them. We live in harmony with them and blah, blah, blah. And you see that this is part of the reason why Optimus Prime becomes the person that he becomes, which actually makes one of the scenes in a couple of the Transformers films by Michael Bay more disappointing, because you'll see as those movies go along, he's actually more callous. He becomes more callous and less caring about humans. Like I distinctly remember a scene where I think it was in the second or third one. I think it was in the third one where he said something like, yeah, we left so you all could see how badly you needed us, right? Like they were like, oh, we thought you guys left. And it was like, no. We just had to leave so you could see how bad the Decepticons were going to kill you guys. I was like, wow, that's pretty deep.
So I'm gonna go with this then, Jonesy. When was, because this was set in 1994, right?
Yes.
And when was Bumblebee set? I'm going to assume
like 89.
That it was before this, right? So I'm looking at this as Bumblebee was the restart, the reboot, not a revamp, not a prequel to the others, but the actual first, could we say, Transformers movie. And this is a sequel to that one.
I don't know. And it's funny. That was
Prime
the question.
Said to Bumblebee, he said, I know you've been friends with one before, or I know you've made friends with one before.
He's talking about Haley Steinfeld.
Was it?
He's talking about Haley Steinfeld from Bumblebee.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was thinking, okay, so this was set after Bumblebee, but actually a sequel to Bumblebee. So we need to kind of, I'm going to say that this is the new Transformers. Forget the other ones. They were their own synchet or quartet or however they were.
I don't think there's been any official things.
One way or the other.
What they're
but there's no way you could.
That's what I'm saying is they're basically soft saying it is the way it feels, is by just letting people run with it online and just making the movies as they go along. They're not trying to do at least it looks like they're not trying to pull a Foxman, with the X-Men stuff that Fox did. So good on them. Really good on them if that's the way it seems.
It's working.
I want to see it. I relatively enjoyed Bumblebee, and I'm wondering if my son could, just watch Bumblebee and then go enjoy this instead of, going through the Bay films. So
100%.
Might try that out. I'm not the world's biggest Beast Wars guy, but I do love me some giant transforming robots beating the shit out of each other. So
it's a lot of fun.
And you get that. You do actually get that. You get one-on-one fights, you get the big group fights, you do get that. Unfortunately, Jonesy, we do get the laser beam pointing into the sky thing.
Yeah.
Rather than the heavy thing falling from the sky, we get the laser beam pointing up thing. But little things like that overall, I don't think took me out of it. Enjoyed it. My girlfriend enjoyed it. She even said that she loved it when the beasts transformed into their ultimate beast or whatever they're called, maximal beast. That was one of those kind of like
when they maximized, baby,
kind of moments. Yeah, that's it. And then they started kicking some ass. So even the climax stuff was done in a way that was it was a fun ending. Talking of endings, Jonesy, before we move on, the little reveal, the little tie-in with the other franchise. What do we feel about that? I know it's a Hasbro franchise, but I was not expecting.
I'm conflicted.
No idea how I feel about it.
I'm conflicted. So
Wait, this is not the G.I. Joe tie-in finally happened.
Yes,
oh my God, who's in it?
So they haven't said right. So what they did was the main character, Anthony Ramos, from this, he's part of his arc in this is he's looking for a job, and based on his skills, because he's in the army. Every character has to be in the army.
Yes.
He was like a private. He had issues. He got kicked out. And so,
damn it, Snuffy.
These characters come to him and they offer him a job. And it turns out that I think his name is Burke, that this organization he's trying to get him to join is the Joes. And that's really it. Like, he gives him a card, he slides it across the table, he goes behind this false wall, and Anthony Ramos looks behind the false wall and sees that there's some bay area where they're doing military shit, and
it looked like a troop carrier, right? It looked to me like it was one of the Joe's troop carriers that was being worked on. Drop ships.
It's a popular thing to do in the comics, so
it is. And to that point, so this is an unprecedented, right? So there was a 1986 crossover with Transformers and G.I. Joe, and then they did a follow-up to that in the 90s. And so it exists. This is the thing. I think it was G.I. Joe versus Transformers. So I'm going to have to go back and read that to see how this works. But you actually got a little bit of that in the movie, right? So when Mirage covers Anthony Ramos as part of his, like, the battle suit or whatever you call it, that actually felt like a callback to. That actually felt like a callback to the very first G.I. Joe movie, The Rise of Cobra. Like, if you go back and think about that movie with Channing Tatum and Marlon Wayans, they have those suits, something very similar. So that was kind of interesting.
People made fun of those suits when that movie came out. I thought with the suit thing that you see in the trailer for the Transformers character, I thought of when Spike had a suit in the old G1 cartoon. So I didn't think G.I. Joe, but good point.
Well, I was looking at that as I think both the Joes got the technology to do that stuff from the Transformers. That's how I was seeing it. So rather than it being an earthbound technology that for some reason the Joes have managed to invent, they've actually borrowed, stolen from the Transformers, which makes it a little bit more, if you believe in giant robots from space coming and living on our planet, it makes that a little bit more believable, right? Okay, it's not our tech. We've stolen it. We borrowed it. We've been given it.
We've
been given it by some other guys. That makes it a bit more palatable. Do you think they've earned it, though, after what is, in essence, as we just discussed, 2 movies?
No.
I don't think they've earned that just yet. I think we needed to be a bit more, I don't know.
I mean, do they plan on doing a good G.I. Joe movie at all before?
And so
before a crossover?
The question, right? So that's the question of what's coming next. I would be down for either. It seems like, given that tag, we are either expecting a Transformers X G.I. Joe for the next film or a G.I. Joe film for the next film. I would be okay with either. I would prefer to get a standalone Joe movie before they do that. And so go the Godzilla King Kong route. Give me a give me a Skull Island movie, give me a Godzilla movie, and then go ahead and do the combination after that. I would like to see these franchises grow on their own before you mash them up.
Yep. Yeah, because if you bring in Joe characters that we don't like, it might spoil the broth of what at the moment we're enjoying the Transformer characters, right? You bring in have a G.I. Joe movie, see if there's characters that stick and that we like and enjoy, based on feedback and reviews and money, and then, like you say, bring them together. So I'm okay with it, but I just don't think, like we just said, they haven't earned it yet. I definitely agree. A Joe movie first, see what the response is, see what the quality is, and then bring us a mashup.
You think Sega is going to let them keep the Sonic code name? Because that's who he would have to be, right? Like, that's the only thing that would make sense based on, I don't know.
Well, just going back on that again, just reminded me of some fun parts of the script. The throwback to Marky Mark and stuff. What the actors are becoming? Sorry, pop stars are becoming actors now. I even said to the guys I was with, I said, "There's no way they can be connected to this movie now because now we've just admitted that this exists in this universe. So Marky Mark now can't be that scientist guy that owns a farm in the middle of whatever."
Yeah, I love that. That was great.
But it was fun. It was fun dialogue, and it was delivered really well. So I enjoyed it. It was.
Can you believe he's leaving the Funky Bunch to go acting?
Yeah,
that was great. That was great.
The music choices were brilliant. It was right in the 90s. I love the 90s feel to it. When there was music playing in the background, it felt like a 90s movie sometimes, the way they did those scenes. So yeah, I'm edging there, Jonesy. I'm closer to a C+.
Okay. All right. I love that you're edging. Anything else to say in spoilers before we jump out and talk about some other stuff?
I think we've spoiled enough. Go see it.
All right.
Go see it, people.
Go see it. Moving out of spoilers, not a spoiler for the film. This is the last thing I want to say about the film that'll make Kyle see it. Kyle, you're wearing a Power Rangers shirt. The kid on his entrance is also wearing a Power Rangers shirt. So nice. Not the main character, but his little brother. So nice. A lot of fun. Cool. A lot of fun. So moving on, we've got some more DC. What is this called? What's this universe called, Kyle? Is it DCU? What's DCU? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay. So in James Gunn's future franchise for this, we've got a director for the forthcoming Batman film. So The Flash hasn't dropped yet, but WB must really be feeling it. At this point, they've been showing it to anybody with eyes, ears, and lips, right? Somebody's going to go out there and talk about how good it is. So Stephen King has seen it. He says fantastic. Henry Cavill has talked about how much he's like The Flash. James Gunn has said it's likely one of the best superhero movies ever made, which, the film is currently tracking to make some Black Adam numbers. And if you all want to see a discussion about the mixed reviews the film is getting, jump on over to Daily Cog and watch Kyle and Manny drop that discussion. And it's, for James Gunn to say it's one of the best superhero movies ever and then have those reviews come around, a little worried. But anyway, all that said, Danny, with all of that history, have you heard that Andy Muschietti of It and Flash fame is going to be directing The Brave and the Bold? And what are your thoughts?
I have heard that, and I heard it first on our network. But I have questions.
What are your questions?
I have a few, but our first one's going to be, what is this? An animated live action? What cartoon?
Live action.
I have no idea what this is.
A few months ago, 3 months ago, it's got to be at least 3 months ago. At this point, James Gunn talked about what his roadmap was going to be for the DC universe going forward. One of them is going to be Superman Legacy. Yep. One of the other ones is going to be Batman: The Brave and the Bold. So Superman Legacy is going to be the story of a new-ish Superman.
Well, that was him though, right? I remember the talk of Legacy.
He's going to be writing and directing that. Yeah.
Dude, that was January 31st. So we're
get the fuck out of here. 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man.
Wow, time flies. Wow. So anyway, Brave and the Bold is going to be the Batman film. So this is going to be the in DC universe Batman that's going to interact with the Superman Legacy character. And so this one's going to be interesting because he's going to be a little older, which is funny because this is the same dynamic we had between Henry Cavill and Batfleck.
Yep. But
the main difference is going to be in this one, Damian Wayne is going to be the Robin of this. And what I like about this is that James Gunn has said that Damian Wayne is his favorite Robin. And the other fun thing about that is if that's true and that this film is Damian Wayne's film, I'm cautiously optimistic that Muschietti is directing this, given his work on the first It film. I wasn't really a fan of the second one, but the first one is, I think, fantastic. and seeing how he worked with those kids to bring out those roles, I'm really excited to see what, if anything, he could do with a Damian Wayne character.
Sorry, carry on. Finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say, that said, I'm worried from this perspective. I feel like we've been here before. This guy is directing Flash. Now he's going to direct Batman. And I am concerned about having one director putting his stamp on too many films in this universe. But given that the Flash straddles universes, maybe it's not going to be that big of a deal. But sorry, I cut you off.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't want you to stop your flow there. So just going back to did he direct number 2 as well?
I thought so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
So my only question was then, because we know how that book goes. Most people know how the book goes. The book itself, almost not halfway through, but just over halfway through, it does lose its way a little bit. Do you think maybe it was the material he had to try and work with that challenged that second film a little bit? Because I agree, I preferred the first one for what it was, but then the second one, when they're adults, so to speak, even the book wasn't quite as good, shall we say. And Stephen King can never nail the endings of films or books. It's always really bad ending, so to speak. So I guess what I was trying to say is I don't think that would be too much of a mark against him, the fact that number 2 wasn't as good, because I don't think the second part of the book was as good. But The Flash, I don't know yet. It's next week, it's next weekend here. I'll see it. I don't know. But there is that whole, it's going to be the first few. Do we have other films from this new DC universe, is what I'm trying to say, before the Batman comes out, before the Bold and Beautiful comes out?
I don't remember what the timeline is. Hold on a second.
So do we have other directors putting their stamp on?
So no directors have been named as far as I'm tracking. I think Muschietti is the only other director to have been named.
Other than Gunn himself.
Yeah. So we've got, here are the films that are coming out. We've got Superman Legacy. That's one we've already discussed. The other one is The Authority. And so these are characters that came from Wildstorm. I don't know if you're familiar with that series. So go check that out. The Brave and the Bold is the other one. Then we've got Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Swamp Thing, and then we've got a few shows that are coming out. But those are the movies that we know.
But no directors attached to those yet.
Nope.
Okay.
So if this is an accurate timeline as well, and not just a listing of these films, we should be getting The Brave and the Bold very shortly after.
So what I'm going to call, you realize I am going to call it The Bold and the Beautiful from now on, right?
Go ahead.
So what directors, Jonesy, what was making you think that a little bit nervy about having one director stamp their say on it? Was it the Snyder stuff, or was it another example that you were thinking of?
No, it's Snyder.
That was Snyder. So I don't think we'll have that, but I see why that would worry you. But I don't think that was the case, because I was just going to say we have I've forgotten their names now. The guys that directed
Russo brothers
Avengers movies. Yeah. So we had we had those boys do a pretty solid job. It hasn't translated quite so well to their TV work as much, but so there's good and there's bad with having a set of directors or director direct multiple movies. But I understand certainly I wouldn't want another Snyder. As much as I love Man of Steel, the others I was less than happy with, or less than enjoyed. So
if I had seen The Flash already, maybe I would feel differently. And that's probably part of the problem. What's sad is I had an opportunity this past weekend to see it for free. And I just didn't, there just wasn't enough time. They were showing it here on post for free.
Oh, shame. Okay.
Yeah, I was doing parental stuff. So yeah, didn't get a chance, but we'll find out. There's still next week.
Sure. No, based on what you said, I'm excited about them. Yeah, go for it. There was a lot of stuff I'm excited about for this new DC universe. As long as it's got Lobo in it and it's played by Jason Momoa, I'm all good. Which I'm sure there will be. In Gunn, I trust with my Lobo.
In Gunn, you trust. I gotta see. I have to see an in-universe film before I go that far. Like I said, Guardians, fantastic. send off for the Marvel universe. I'm dying to see what he can do, but I'm very optimistic given what he was able to do with those characters. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about this and any other topics?
No, I'm good. The topic of this week has been the fact that we're finally getting some movies. I still haven't had a chance to see Spider-Verse yet. I'm looking forward to it. It's not going to drop here for reasons until the end of the month, so it's going to be a couple of weeks yet. I'm going to see Flash before I see Spider-Verse, which I'm quite disappointed about because I'm hearing from you guys and everybody else that it's a great time at the movies. So
super excited. I'm going to see it again when it drops here on the economy. Because I don't know if you heard the show. I had just had a horrific experience watching it. So,
no, I did not know that.
Jonesy had a real get off my lawn moment. It was great,
man. I was Anakin Skywalker all day. Fuck these kids. Like I just wanted to lightsaber the shit out of all of them. Yeah. Sir Jonesy, what are we gonna do? Psst, fuck you. Anyway. Thanks for listening. If you hate children like I do, jump on the Discord. Let us know. If you had an opportunity to see this film, what film did we review? Transformers. If you have a special place in your heart for Transformers or any other films, jump on. Defend them. Tell us why you think we're wrong about why the other ones are so bad. If you are wanting to discuss the brave and the bold directing choice, come on over. Jump on the Discord. Other than that, LRM and Genreverse Podcast Network, those are your places for your great content. Other than that, we will see you next week for a review of The Flash. We'll catch you on the next one. Hasta lasagna.